I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, book club. It's Kelsey Hightower. I'm here with Amir and Regina. And yes, things look a little bit different because of the coronavirus. We might have been in quarantine, but we are coming to you live from our living room. So we are still in book club. Yay!
Hey, everybody.
Hello, Amir, Regina. Tell me about your favorite moment from this episode. Season 3, episode 5, Au Jus.
Au Jus. I mean, Kels, I don't know if it's me being quarantined since Friday night, but this episode gave me life. Like, it was just it was scene after scene after punch. I mean, the writing on this show, I'm telling you, like, it is like the best show on TV. So my favorite part, obviously, we saw Lucy at the end get shot, which was crazy. I mean, and then them kind of trying to defend all of their skills. And then we had obviously like Stan and Ruby were on some rocky ground. So there was a lot that happened, and I was here for all of it.
Yeah, Regina?
You know, I have to say, Annie going into Lucy's place and stealing her beloved Au Jus, that was a hilarious part. And kind of cruel too, I have to admit. But anyways, that was really like a daring, bold move. So these ladies, they're always daring and bold, especially Beth. And I love Beth when she is thinking so quick on her feet. Like she is trying to keep them alive. And so she let Rio know, you might have Lucy and everything that goes with her skills, but we have the real skills in printing the money. So I love that Beth kept them alive yet another day.
Yes, she did. And I love that we were here for it, and we are all doing fine through this quarantine. Amir, like you said, we had lots of time to watch this episode. I watched it a couple of times because what else is there to do when you're in isolation?
Yeah. Right.
So
watch your AfterBuzz TV, right?
That's right. Yes. And if you have been watching AfterBuzz TV, then you'll notice that we have switched to this new format. Nobody is in the studio right now. We are not able to gather more than 10 people at a time. So we are at our homes, but thank goodness for technology. We are here on our phones, on our computers, just like the rest of the world. So keep tuning in. We are not stopping our AfterBuzz shows. We are here, and you can binge watch that during your quarantine. You can live chat us now. We will chat with you guys, and we've got a big show tonight. We're going to be talking about Annie and her relationships with Keven. Who cares? Who knows? We're going to be talking about Ruby and her relationship with Stan and how that's going with Sarah. We're also going to be talking about the big event, which is Lucy. I think we dedicate this episode to Lucy because, I mean, girl, Amir, I know this was your favorite. Plus, we also have shout outs. We have a little bit of news to tell you. I mean, there's news all over the world, but we've got some news here as well. And then we've got our predictions and our shout outs. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm wearing my good vibes shirt because we need some good vibes today.
All right, we need it.
I know, even though Lucy, that vibe was so sad. But let's wait till the end for that. Let's talk about Annie because she is just a ray of sunshine all the time because she's a disaster. Annie is on this, as she always is. She is in the same groove with boys. She's moved on from her therapist, and she is now hooking up with Keven. I mean, he's homeless, people.
Yeah.
He is living in his car. How do you think that this is affecting Ben?
Well, Ben already told her in tonight's episode that he didn't like it. Chris asked Ben to get him toilet paper, so we don't even want to think about, we don't want to go there.
We all need toilet paper.
I know, we got a shortage, and he's asking Ben for toilet paper, and he's living on her curb.
That's right. Ben doesn't get toilet paper. I can't find the toilet paper. Ben can't maybe I'm gonna start knocking on doors like Ben is. That's the way to do it.
That's
just knock on doors. Amir, I'm coming over for some toilet paper.
Please, honey.
Hey,
toilet paper
it's
here.
not money. We never know at this the way things are going right now, people don't slow down.
I know. People need to stop hoarding, and I
Yeah.
think there was the episode was great for this point. I thought she was kind of getting her life on track, and then she locks the door. And then what I love about the writing of the show, she changes the time to less time because she knows this Keven guy is not going to take his sweet time. He's a one pump guy. So I think it was just hilarious. I was just like, come on, girl, I thought you got your life together, but I guess not.
When she locked the door of the convenience store, that was so disgusting to me. But it shouldn't be with Annie, right? But you know what? I don't think she's done with her therapist. I think that's coming back around.
Okay, I hope not. I really
it is. They're not done.
Well, she's getting more material. She has more things to talk about to her therapist now. Hopefully, I mean, do you think she's going to be honest with him if she gets back together with her therapist?
Sure. That's the kind of girl she is. She's honest to a fault. She's what you call a hot mess.
I mean,
she
that's
is
what
transparent.
What was that?
She is transparent.
She really is. And that's what I love about her relationship with Ben as well. Like, she's always like, I need you right now. Like, don't be mad at me. I need to snuggle with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a really rough place. And I think in some ways they really support each other, which is the beauty of a single mom relationship with their child. Is that the child can be there for the mom as much as the mom is for the child. So
especially the type of child he is, you know, with everything he's going through right now with his own identity.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, those two, the dynamic between those two is like so strong and loving. Even though they may find fault with one another, they still love one another and they look past any vulnerabilities they may have, you know. So, I mean, I thought it was great she could crawl into bed with him. And he's like, I'm a little bit too old for this, but she needed that love and support from somebody that she knew would offer her unconditional love, and that's her son.
Yeah, he does. He always does.
So,
and real quick, I just want to say hello to everybody who's in the chat right now. Thank you guys for being here and for chatting. Thank you to CY and for Anna. Everybody is just saying, hey, AfterBuzz. CY says Annie is kind of a little bit gross sometimes. And I feel for Ben for having to deal with Annie's dysfunction. She should be a parent, not him. And we deal with this story thread for so many episodes throughout since the very beginning. It has been like a role reversal type situation with Ben being the parent and Annie being more of a kid.
Right.
But thank you guys for being out there. And thank you guys for being live chat. Continue to live chat us, and we will read your chats out loud.
Yes, we will. And Kels, to play devil's advocate for Annie, I think, you know, she had Ben when she was in high school. So she's kind of growing up with him as well.
Yeah.
So I think we have to give her a little bit of slack, but she does need to get no more. What did Keven say? He said, I'm not homeless. I'm homeless adjacent, or I'm experiencing homelessness. So we need to kind of avoid people like that in her life. I don't know if she needs that.
The other thing, and I'm so glad you reminded us of Annie. She was a child raising a child. So, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. So I guess in that respect, when we look at it that way, we need to cut her a little slack.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on to Ruby, Regina, do you want to do our shout out?
Well, definitely. We, first of all, give a shout out to our amazing staff at AfterBuzz TV for making this all possible, guys, during this really trying time in our country. And so thank you, Keven and Maria and Stephen and everybody at the studio for making this possible. But we, of course, could not do it without you, our viewers. You guys are amazing. You're supporting us through all of this. We're supporting you and bringing you AfterBuzz TV. So please keep coming on and giving us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and also going to YouTube and subscribing to our channels, and also giving us the thumbs up and leaving all your wonderful comments, guys. We really appreciate it. So please keep watching and supporting us, and we're going to keep bringing you more and more great content.
Thank you, guys. Yes. And like I said, we'll keep reading our live tweets or live comments as we go through this episode. But first, we're going to move on to Ruby and Stan and their kind of rocky relationship. The Hills have been through so much. Like they're always being tested. And this episode, we saw that Sarah came clean to Stan, and we found out individually both Ruby going and talking to Sarah and Stan also had a conversation separately with Sarah. And we saw how both parents reacted, and how I think, Regina, you talked about this last episode, how the parents have to be on the same page. And I feel like they weren't on the same page in this episode. No. And I think that is really tugging and tearing at Stan and Ruby's relationship. And I think we see a lot of that on Ruby's shoulders. Like she's carrying a brunt of this, and we're seeing that being affected in her quote unquote work with her, with the girls, being very short with Annie, and short with Beth as well. But where do we see their relationship going? Like they always get back together, but we saw a change from Ruby, how Stan looks at Ruby. And I think that's the big concern here, is that they've kind of changed a little bit in their relationship. Do you think that it's going to stay the sweet family unit that it's always been, and it's going to stay the test of time? Or do you think that it's pulling away and it's fading?
Well, I think they have a really solid foundation. And whenever you have a really good, solid foundation, I think you can make it back through time or get through those trying times. I didn't like the fact that he told Ruby he knew about it, and that Sarah kind of played it and played them against each other. She's like all up under her dad, being the sweet little daughter and all this and that. And then, of course, Ruby got incensed when she saw all this, even to the point of calling her own daughter heifer, And she made a comment like, you need to fess up or confess to the game. I wrote it down. I'll have to find it later. Like, in other words, I've got your number. So, and then she was so tearful after that incident with Rio, and she came back home. And I think all of them needed to have some loving arms to hold them, because that was such a devastating event for them to witness. And like I said last week, that if anything will break a parent down or make Ruby walk away from the whole situation with Beth and Annie, it would be the family dynamic, especially her daughter, pitting her and Stan against one another. And when she tearfully told Stan to not give up on her, I think we're going to see a transformation happen. But I do think that their family will survive it.
Amir, do you think that Sarah is going to watch her mother and be a protege in a sense?
I know we talked about this, and you made a prediction, Kels, about how she might kind of be involved in the business. I don't really think so, because I think what's really imperative with what's happening with Ruby and Stan's relationship is that it's kind of built on the fact that he sees her as going, because I think he said, you sleep like a queen even when you're lying, and our daughter doesn't do that. So I think their marriage is really contingent on her not bringing Sarah into the business. So I think that if she did that, that might be what actually breaks their relationship. Because whenever Ruby comes to him and is like, I need you, he's there for her. And in so many ways, he knew Sarah did it because he's a cop. He knows when someone's guilty. And it's when it's your own child, even if it's your family or friends, you know when someone's guilty. So I think he knew. He just kind of allowed her to come to him in her time, which I think is great parenting. And I think right now, unfortunately, what's happening with Ruby is that she's so scared that she's not really acting in the best interest of her child. She's just kind of going autopilot. Because if a child is acting out of character and you're saying, you're a heifer and I'm going to call you out and I got your number and all this stuff, I don't know if that's going to be the best way. She might rebel against that and it might be worse. So I don't know.
I think you could be right. And I think you could be onto a prediction there too.
Yeah.
She still has to know her place as a child.
True.
And I agree.
But she is a teenager at the same time. Like you kind of have to know your place as a child, but just because you know doesn't mean you're going to be responsible because you're a kid. You want to, like Amir is saying, you want to rebel and act out too. So I feel like we're at a really great age for her to be able to do that and see that being reflected.
And the show writing, Kels, is so good that the writers were like, you know what? We're going to focus on Sarah, so we're just going to have Harry be off screen. Like, I thought that was so smart. Like, they removed the younger brother for a while just to really focus on Sarah, which I think is such good writing. It just goes back to how smart these writers are.
Absolutely. No, that was so smart. And, they're there and the characters are still around and it's a reminder, but they're telling us what's important. And in this episode, they told us what was most important, which was Lucy. We had pretty much the whole episode kind of center around her. And Amir, I know this was your favorite character. You even had her as one of the good girls when she wasn't even in the show. So, I mean, where to start with this one? I mean, let's start with Dean, because I think he's kind of the culprit of this whole issue. Dean is the one that broke the template. Do you think that any of this do you think this was all a chain reaction from Dean's ignorance?
I mean,
Just
I think
jealousy.
It was. Definitely, right? Sorry, Ruby, what did you say?
Regina.
I called you Ruby.
It's okay, Amir.
My bad.
Should we all be a good girl? Should we all pick which good girl we are?
Should we all be I'm definitely Annie.
I'll be Beth.
Show me the money. That's all I got.
My bad, Regina. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Go ahead.
Hey, honey, it's all good. Oh my God. Okay, so we talked about Dean destroying the template, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought he just did it out of jealousy more than anything. But I kind of lost my train of thought, so.
That's okay. He also, talking about parenting, he also was lying to his girls. Like, I know parents lie all the time. Like, you have a pet that dies. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just my parents. No, I'm just kidding. I love them.
We'd all be walking around with Pinocchio noses.
Right. But, your fish dies. You hear these stories all the time. Like, they just replace the fish or, it went to the farm, these types of stories. But Dean came up with this elaborate story about the fish, like going to magic school or something. And you're just like, okay, we've taken it too far. Do you think it was out of good nature? Or do you think that this is just a premonition of like him lying and just lies after lies, even to his daughters, when the kids saw him flush the fish down the toilet?
I love that they waited that long too. Like I love children because they wait and then they're like, I already saw you flush it down the toilet. Like, they don't like cut you off and like they let you just go all the way there. And I love that he was immediately like, well, the toilet is a portal to that magic school. And it's like the girls don't. And children are so resilient. They were like, can we get another pet that doesn't smell bad? I was like, so
like the fish smell. Well, they have another pet now.
They do. They have Lucy's Au Jus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's go back to Lucy.
Can I say something about Dean real quick? So
yes.
Dean, like me and Regina were talking about this. Like he kept bringing up like, oh, it's because he's in love with you. He kept bringing up how Rio is still in love with Beth, and she was just kind of like, no, he's not. Like he's in love with money. And I thought that interaction was so powerful because in my head too, I was like, yeah, he loves her. Like Rio loves Beth. But when she said it like that, I was like, oh, like he might be really hot, but he's a criminal mastermind. Like he loves money. He doesn't love her. So I thought that was a really good realization for me.
And then she wants to respect her marriage as much as she can, you know, given all the history.
Yeah, true.
But, you know, I think she wanted to say to him so it wouldn't continue to feed, like, oh, he's so in love with my wife. And she realizes, well, no, he loves the money, but that's not true, because if that were the case, she'd be dead by now.
He would love both, but the real worry is if no matter if he loves Beth or if he loves money or if he loves both, he doesn't love Dean. And Dean doing this, he can come. Beth can easily just say, like, Beth doesn't have to say anything for Rio to know that Dean has done something wrong, and Rio is not scared to kill Dean. So I would think that at this point, Dean would be worried to do something because Rio will come after him again. I don't know if this is ignorance or if it's just he's living this new carefree life. I don't know. What do you
think? It's testosterone. I think it's just him as a man being like, I'm taking care of my family, even though this person is a criminal.
Right.
Like, I can protect you. You know, he has that giant shotgun. He thinks that, I'm like, Rio is not going to give you an advance warning. You will not see him coming. So I think Dean is just being really cavalier. And I think my prediction, which I'll get to later about Dean, I have some interesting predictions. So
yeah, I think Dean, Rio, if he comes after Dean this time, is going to find a different Dean.
Ooh, okay.
I'm excited to hear about these predictions.
He went out and got a shotgun.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Rio messing with Lucy, though. Like, we can see it's an even fight almost with Rio and Dean, but Rio coming after Lucy, that is so uneven, and that was heartbreaking just watching that on the screen. I know you guys have some interesting thoughts on this, but he told the girls that he was finished with Lucy, and it was just such a short period of seeing this character. Do we think that he's really done? I mean, first of all, Twitter was going crazy, and they were saying that you have to remember Rio is a gang member, and this is what he does. Do you really think that Rio's character, as we've seen him in the last 3 seasons, would kill Lucy, and you think that this is just, you know, business as normal, this is what he does, or do you think there's something more to this?
I think it's collateral damage. You know, unfortunately, Lucy got involved unknowingly into a criminal enterprise.
Right.
And after she gave Rio so willingly what she wanted, he felt like he didn't need her anymore. And here we go back again to his love for Beth, that he killed her instead to send a message to Beth. So he's got them wrapped up even tighter.
And I guess loose lips sink ships, and you got to get rid of the rotten egg, and that's what he's doing. And like you said, it was either Beth or Lucy, but do you think Beth could have saved her? Like, was there any way that Beth could have saved Lucy and like brought her in as the team?
I mean, I don't know. Beth can barely save herself, though. That's what I'm worried about, Kels. I think that, like, I don't think she can take on anyone else. She already has her best friend and her sister. And I think that Lucy, like, she's not a criminal. I mean, her email was graphicfarts89 at Gmail.
That's so hard.
I know, poor thing. I actually just emailed that email. Let's see if I get a response.
Yes.
So I just sent an email to that. So I said, hey, Lucy.
Keep us updated.
Why not, right? And so I think that, like, when she got involved, I think she knew that the 3 girls were not to be messed with. Like, she was like, I don't want to go back to you guys. Something's going on. It's shady. And then I think when she saw Rio, she didn't really know he was involved, but she was so innocent. She's like, I love your tattoo. Like, I was a tattoo artist. Like, she was just so sweet. And I think she got caught up. But, you know, if you look at the last 3 seasons, Rio has never killed a woman that we've seen. So I'm still holding on hope that he took out the guy with the face tattoo, that like Beth had asked like to kind of give her a break, and she gave him $100 grand. So I think that Rio somehow found out, and I think just shot him in the car because he was sitting next to Lucy. So I don't know. I'm just pulling up.
Yes.
I can go along with that scenario.
Okay.
So we'll see.
CY in the live chat has said, I've seen a lot of people saying we have to remember that Rio is a criminal. So is Beth and the girls, though. They had their chances to get out and they chose to be criminals. So that is true. Everybody there has chosen a life of crime except for Lucy. She had no idea what was going on.
Poor Lucy.
I hope that she was, just past the line of fire. Lady Dr. 3A says if Lucy wouldn't have gotten in the van, it might have gone differently. What do you guys think about Lucy just getting in the van?
Beth tried to tell her, prevent that from happening. But what are you going to do? See, first of all, Lucy just showed that she didn't have what it took to save her own life.
Right?
To me, because she was too, but still survival, of the fittest, but whatever. You gotta she gave him all that.
Regina, she's so straightforward.
Of the money. You're not gonna kill the Van Gogh. I'm Van Gogh. You know what I'm saying? But I think he saw too that if he could shake her down so easily and find out so much information just walking in that store for the first time, talking to her, and she was pretty much an open book.
Yeah, she's not dependent.
Then she's not anybody you want out on the street with loose lips.
I know, it's true.
Yeah.
I know, but just poor Lucy. I hope she got to have at least a bubble bath with Max before she went.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm going to say I have more to say about Matt, but in predictions. So Regina, yes.
I just don't see a need for her now. For her not to be dead.
Oh no, Regina, you're so
I know. I don't want to think that
crying right now. Amir needs Lucy.
I know. I don't know. Maybe I've been shut in too long. It's the rain. But anyway, just let me finish saying this. My initial instinct told me that he shot the big guy.
Okay.
What does he need him for anymore? So we'll see. Hopefully Lucy is alive.
Okay. All right. On that positive note, should we go ahead and talk about who our favorite good girl is for this episode?
Yes, please. Our baddest good girl is here.
Our baddest good girl. Okay. I'll just go ahead and start. I'm going to say that for this episode, my baddest good girl is Sarah, because she beat her mom to the punch and she told her dad. That way her mom couldn't hold anything over her head and she could kind of like get out before it started. And I don't know if it's genuine or not, but it looks like she's turning her life around. So for those reasons, I picked Sarah as my baddest good girl. Okay.
Amir, you want to go?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
So my baddest good girl is Dorito Boland, which was formerly known as Au Jus, which is a new pet. So I think that's the Boland member, the canary. Wonderful canary. What a great actor. Deserves an Emmy. I mean, chipper as ever, a breath of fresh air. Everything I needed. She was in that mitt, and she was acting her head off, just that little head. So I'm all here for Dorito Boland, formerly Au Jus.
Cheers!
If only she could
to that.
If only she could sing or talk, right? Talk to the cops.
Next episode.
She was fabulous.
Right.
She'll be around for 50 years. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with Ruby.
Okay.
Because she is realizing some things that are starting to fall apart in her life. And I think she's going through a tug of war emotionally. She even was discussing things with Beth. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think she is really having second thoughts and remorse about a lot of things.
Oh, those were good. Love those. If you guys have your baddest good girl, be sure to leave those in the comments and we will talk about those on the next episode. But let's go ahead. We have lots of news to talk about. So Amir, do you want to take it away with news?
I will. So obviously, unless you've been living in a cave, which is actually a pretty safe place to be right now.
I'll say.
Turns out that's the safest place to be. Amir, are you still with us?
Well, until he comes back, Amir.
All right, we are experiencing, a couple of glitches. Everybody's on the internet right now. We appreciate you. But let's go ahead and skip to shout outs with Regina, and then we'll come back to the news.
Okay, yeah, we got cut off a little bit.
Oh, there he is.
Hi.
Hi, Amir's back. Okay. Amir, will you start over with the news?
Yes, I will. So, sorry about that, y'all. Please be understanding with us as we're kind of navigating a weird time. So obviously, as you've heard about Corona, I'm sure all of y'all are quarantined, I hope. But it has affected Hollywood in a very strong way. So the GLAAD Awards have been canceled in New York and postponed in Los Angeles. So that's unfortunate. As an LGBTQ person, that's a fabulous award show and I love it, but it's been canceled. And then FX has also postponed the premiere date for season 4 of Fargo, and they've pushed that to, it was supposed to be April 19th, but it's being pushed even further. And CBS has halted production on SWAT. Thankfully, Good Girls hasn't really been, I haven't heard about anything being halted on their production. But what was being reported by Deadline was that they're going to use maybe like the last 4 or 5 episodes of this season and throw it onto season 4, which is a really smart way for the writers to keep everyone in tune and on board. But I just want you all to be safe, wash your hands, start doing the Corona bump, and just keep binging AfterBuzz. And we're all here, trying to support you guys through this, mental health awareness, like be good to yourself, self-care, and keep watching us. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you so much. Okay, we do want to say thank you again by reading some shout outs. So Regina has some shout outs from comments that we had last week.
So shout out to Aaliyah Solomon. And she commented that the mover knows Beth through Dean. Dean made that comment about people coming out of jail and wanted to give him an extra tip. This was like 1 or 2 episodes ago. Rio found out because he keeps his ear to the street. Then the next shout out we have is from Michelle Fitzgerald 6. Right. It seems like Rio found out about the mover washing Beth's money because the mover was using some of Rio's contacts to wash the money, which is what we all agreed happened as well. And then last we have Anna DeCraker 6, who says, love this episode. Beth and Rio have such a great chemistry and sexual tension. The ending was so crazy. They both could not stop looking at each other. The part at the bar showed that Rio still cares about Beth because he told her, Elizabeth, what are you doing, when she was drinking the shots. So basically, the show knows how much he thinks about her and cares about her. I don't think he was ever going to kill her. He just wanted her to think it. Plus, he was truly mad that she shot him. He would have killed her by now, which is what I've said all along. I really hope we get much more Rio, she says. Oh, okay. And the baddest good girl would be Beth. She was able to figure out how to make fake money without Rio and started her own business of counterfeiting. So I love watching AfterBuzz, and what can I say about the show? You guys are all great, and we thank you.
Oh,
thank you guys so much. And we have a few more live chats right now. about people's favorite baddest good girl. So I'm just going to read those really quickly before we move on into our promo and predictions. So be thinking about that. We have Samantha. She says that Annie is her baddest good girl because she stole the bird from Lucy and hid it in her bathroom. Then we have that CY says that he thinks that I think he killed Lucy too. He can't seem to be soft to his gang members. So we have that prediction. And then CY also says that my baddest good girl is that the little girl who called out Dean for lying about the fish, and that is his daughter who called him out on that. So we have some of our baddest good girls in the chat right now. Just wanted to read those out. And let's go ahead and move into our predictions. So we saw in the promo that all the girls were in the car. We haven't really seen a promo like this before where it's just only a shot of the girls in the car. Usually it's such a fast montage, but we see all three of them, and we see Rio and that watchdog gang member looking like they're about to bury the girls or bury a big secret. So that's where we were left on the promo. Let's go ahead and jump into predictions. Amir, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I think that, like I said, Dean's gonna start acting like, the dutiful husband all of a sudden, and he's gonna roll up on Rio, and I don't think it's gonna end well. So I don't think he's gonna get killed, but I think that he's gonna get beat up really badly, and I think Beth is gonna just be like, I'm over it, like, stop. And I also think Lucy's gonna come back, but not yet. I think they're gonna bring her back in like a couple episodes, and I think it's going to be, she's such a funny, the actress herself, Charlene Yee, is such a funny comedic actress. So I think that she's going to have some tattoos. She's going to be wearing a bandana like me. She's going to come in there looking real, like part of the gang. And it's going to be really funny, and it's going to be really good TV. So I think my girl's going to come back.
I hope so. Regina, what do you think?
I'm so torn. I want to make that prediction that she'll come back because we didn't see actually who he shot. And when you see the promo, you only see one of the guys. So obviously, hello. So obviously it was 2 gunshots that we heard. So either it went into the big mover guy and he's just hanging on to Lucy. And if he's smart, he'll hang on to Lucy to make sure that that template or whatever she made him, is really working and she did it right. And why, if you love money that much, I guess you don't kill the banker, right? So to speak. Well, the person that's making the money, the treasury. Exactly. So hopefully she's not dead, but we'll have to wait and see. And I think the sexual tension between Rio and Beth is only going to be amped up. And in a few, an episode or so, we're going to see some kind of romantic thing between the two of them. But it's going to be Beth trying to outslick him.
Oh, I like this. So, this is going to be good.
I like that too. Okay, those are good predictions. I think that I don't know what to think about Lucy. I love your predictions, and I'm going to just take those in and hope for the best on Lucy as well. I also think that Lucy's boyfriend is definitely going to call out a search party for Lucy. Yeah. And I think that that's going to get the cops involved again. And I think, I know I've been saying this every single time, but I think this is when we're going to see Noah. I don't know, but maybe.
I agree.
So if we are going to see him, I think this would be the time.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. Okay. And then I think we're going to see a therapist again. I mean, Annie needs to go back. It was she missed like 1 therapy session and her life is in ruins already. So, and lots more of the bird, the canary, Dorito. Oh,
if he can only sing or talk.
Yes.
Maybe he can find his mom.
The bird. Regina hates Dorito.
No,
Dorito. You
God,
can't hate
it's a breath
Doritos.
of fresh air, and I love that yellow color.
Yellow color. But Regina wants a
Beautiful.
bird that talks and sings. So Canary can't do.
Maybe not.
All right, we've got a couple of predictions here.
Oh,
We've got a prediction that when Lucy's boyfriend gets the cops involved for her missing, Beth is going to be in a bad position, and she was the last person known to be with Lucy at work. And Beth has her bird, so there's going to be a lot of lines being crossed there. We also have a prediction is that Dean is going to continue to screw things up for Beth and make things worse and put Beth's life in danger. So that is just the theme of the show. So we got that. We love that one. And then we also have another prediction. I think Rio is going to try and put Lucy's death on Beth as a revenge for what she did to him. That is some deep stuff there.
That is good.
That was good.
We
I like that.
All right. Well, if you have any more predictions, be sure to leave those in the comments. And next week, we will be here and we will read more of your comments from this episode. So be sure to let us know what you're thinking about Lucy and about all these lovely ladies. Again, we are still up and running, so we will be here even if we're in quarantine. Our Wi-Fi still works, so be sure to binge all of your favorite shows and AfterBuzz TV shows, and we will see you guys next week. But before then, during quarantine and isolation, where can everybody find you, Regina?
At Regina Coles on Instagram, guys, and at Regina Rico, Twitter. Stay safe and be healthy.
And Amir?
You can find me at Instagram, Amir, Amir Yass _ and if you want a daily quarantine TikTok, it's Amir Yass, Amir Yass on TikTok. Be safe. Love you all.
Thank you, guys. And you can find me, Kelsey Hightower, at Kels Hightower on Instagram and Twitter. And be sure to check in with us. We'll check in with you. And guys, I'm so glad that you're safe. Keep washing your hands, and we will see you right back here next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.